Welcome back. Federal immigration agents are preparing to pull out of Minnesota in the coming days. Border Czar Tom Homan announced the end of Operation Metro Surge just yesterday. Now, the massive crackdown in the Twin Cities resulted in the shooting deaths of 2 U.S. citizens, mass protests, and condemnation from state and local leaders. Meanwhile, the DOJ has dropped charges against 2 men charged with assaulting ICE officers in Minneapolis last month. One of the men was even shot and wounded by those ICE agents. The DOJ cited newly discovered evidence that was inconsistent with allegations that the men attacked ICE officers. I want to bring in CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano, who is live in Minneapolis for us today. And Lilia, that case and the deaths of Alex Preddy and Renee Good really fueled anger, not just there, but around the country. So what's been the reaction to this drawdown?
That's true, Mugo. It's not just the killing of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. It's the lack of investigation or the lack of cooperation with authorities here in the state who have wanted to look into this case. There's been a great lack of transparency. But beyond that, the reason why people were protesting is because of what many have perceived as an overreach, and not just people perceiving it as an overreach of federal immigration agents, but judges ruling that it has been an overreach. We have seen the arrest of refugees, of people with open asylum cases. We've seen the detentions of citizens, not protesters, people who were arrested because the agents simply thought that, this person might be undocumented in the country. What this shift means is that now, according to Tom Homan, it is going to be ICE agents will remain on the ground, but that they will be conducting what they're calling targeted operations. What people were protesting, of course, we covered the case of, for instance, Liam Conejo Ramos, families being detained, people without any criminal record. And in that case in particular, we have been covering that story, following up with his community. I talked to his principal yesterday once again, and he told me, look, even if this is over, what we are looking into ahead, what's going to happen in the next several months is we're going to have to be dealing with the trauma. They still have 100 students out of 570 who are not going to school out of fear of they or their parents being detained and deported. And this is not all people who are undocumented. This is not people who have warrants against them. This is children going to school, their parents perhaps being immigrants or people just afraid of being targeted. So the school is dealing with taking them care packages, with having other professors, even a retired principal, taking kids to and from school. And so they hope that those children will be able to safely come back to their communities. The word that the principal used was cautious. He said, I'm cautiously optimistic, but there is a lot of work to be done. They've even brought therapy dogs to the school to work with the children who are scared.
And Lilia, I want to ask you about independent journalist and former CNN anchor Don Lemon. He is set to be arraigned in Minnesota in federal court today. What can we expect there?
That's right, Mugo. Well, today is the arraignment. He will be read the charges, and of course, we expect that he will plead not guilty. We just learned that I will be able to be inside the courtroom for that hearing, so we'll continue to report on what happens there. But look, this is a quite unprecedented case, and it has caused a great deal of consternation, including among our own community of journalists. Don Lemon is being charged under the FACE Act, which has been rarely used in general, was created for and used predominantly to charge people who interfere with women's access to abortion clinics. It was extended in the word of the law to include places of worship, but that had rarely, if ever, been used. The only case that I could find was last year that it was used to charge pro-Palestinian protesters who interfered with people going into a synagogue to practice their faith. So it's very rare to use that. On top of that, we know, as we reported the day that Don Lemon was arrested, that there was a magistrate judge who refused to sign the charging documents to have Don Lemon arrested. The Department of Justice then went to a chief judge who also took some time. So then they went to an appeals court that declined to review that magistrate judge's decision not to charge Don Lemon and others. And then they convened a grand jury, and that's how he was indicted. But he has a very strong defense team. So the legal experts we've heard from and CBS News has talked to expect that these charges would very likely be dismissed. Today is the arraignment, so of course we're going to continue reporting on that. But it is quite an unprecedented case and something that is concerning in terms of the First Amendment. What the government is saying is that the protesters there, and they grouped Don Lemon within those protesters, were interfering with people's First Amendment right to worship. What his defense is saying is you're interfering with a journalist's First Amendment right to report.
We'll see how this plays out. Lilia Luciano in Minneapolis for us. Thank you so much.